Arnim Zola is one of the most interesting characters I think we've seen in a while. Not only is he a 5 out of 5 defender, putting out an insanely strong performance on BGs and war defense, he is also a very neat attacker that I personally enjoy using a lot. He has the ability of just saying no to the attacker's special 1, or special 2 if you so choose to. However, if you do choose the special 1, you're going to have a much better damage loop. And speaking of damage, it's actually pretty decent. As far as 5 out of 5 defenders go, I think he is among the highest damage outputs of all of them. And partially, that is because of the fact that I run max color tech. I'm going to say that right now. A lot of my Zola's success is going to be the fact that I always run 5 out of 5 color tech. I got it when Radiance came out, so that's the first thing I bought with Radiance. And color tech is a mastery you should all invest in if you play any amount of tech champions at all, because it's in some way going to benefit pretty much all of the newer ones, and it's just really good utility overall, reducing the combat power rate of the defender by 18% max. And then for a lot of new techs, it's going to give them extra abilities. Not for Zola, however, Zola's whole game plan of wanting to reduce the opponent's combat power rate and spam heavies in the corner with that combat power reduction means he synergizes very, very well with collar tech. If you run about all 5 of the collar tech points, you are going to be on average throwing 2 to 3 more heavies every single cycle with Zola. As you can see here, I'm going to start my cycle. That's 2 heavies, and then heavy number 3, heavy number 4, heavy number 5, heavy number 6, and then we're going to get heavy number 7 into the special 2. And without collar tech, you'd probably hit 5 heavies there. And there was potential for 8 if we had a little bit less power when we started spamming heavies. If the opponent had a little less power and we started spamming heavies. Anyway, the whole playstyle is get them in the corner, spam heavies while they have the special lock active, and then they're not going to be able to gain any power. Or they're going to be able to gain power, but much less power, but they won't be able to drop their special 1 as long as you have that special lock active from your pre-fight and dropping a special attack. So now let's see how he performs in BG's attack. Zola is probably maybe my favorite 2-way in my entire deck. I catch people by surprise with using him on attack all the time, especially if they draft like a perfect counter like Deathless Thanos or something. I will instead use Zola on attack against a number of different defenders. Firstly, we're going to be fighting this Domino, this Sig 200 Domino here. And Zola is immune to ability accuracy modification, meaning that Domino cannot fail any of his mechanics. Domino's evade could be a little frustrating. If she gets the lucky on the special 2, we're just going to wait it out, like when she crosses 2 bars of power. If she gets it when she crosses 1 bar of power, it could be a little sketchy. But also that's a lot of hits for her to evade, because the heavy attack is 5 hits. Now, still, I think this is a bit risky. If she does get that lucky on the special 1, you might want to chill it out and slow play a little bit. But if she doesn't, then you can just kill her in like 35 seconds, just like that. So that fight actually lasted 43, which is a bit longer than 39. 35, but still, it's a really, really solid performance. And we're going to fight a couple other BG's defenders with Zola. I think these were all from the Stun Reflect meta. I don't really remember, but let's see. Yeah, that's Stun Reflect. So he is a little bit harder to play in Invade and in the Conflictor meta that we're currently in, because of the fact that he does kind of want to anti-bait to get the opponent to their first special 2. But that's okay, because not every meta is going to work for every champion, and all this stuff was recorded from the Stun Reflect meta where he was very solid. So anyway, I get Sinister to drop a special 2, and then once he does that, we're just going to go for heavy spamming. And also, Zola's a robot, so if Sinister does throw a special 1 with the disintegrations or his bleed active, we're not going to get any degens. But we can just say no to his SP1 anyway, as we did right there, and then the Sinister goes down perfectly. So this is a really fun one. This is going to be against Enchantress, and if you don't know, Enchantress special locks her own special 2 unless she has thrown in 2 special 1s in the fight. So basically, once we get our special lock active, that is going to remove her special 1, she basically can't drop a special attack until she reaches 3 bars. So the goal is, kill her before she reaches 3 bars. A couple things that help us with this. Collar Tech, obviously, but also Enchantress decreases her own combat power rate by 20% normally, And then she is going to cap the defensive combat power rate reduction by 50% minimum, so it can't go below 50, but that's perfectly fine for Zola. If like 50 is all we need. As you can see, we're just spamming the heavies here. I'm going to go for one more heavy attack, drop the special 2. Even if it whiffs or she blocks it, it doesn't matter. She's still going to die from that disintegration damage. And that is a pretty cheesy way to take down an Enchantress if you do ask me. So now we're going to go fight Arcade. This is taken from another video, this clip, where I said this meta was annoying for him. I don't even remember what meta this was, but this was a very... Oh, cleanse meta, okay. This was a very early Zola fight, so not all of this gameplay is perfect, because this is one of the first Zola fights I ever did. But Arcade's special 1 is very annoying. Zola is poison immune, so that definitely makes it less annoying, but still, just as an example, we can shut off Arcade's special 1, and then we're going to go for a heavy here, and then going to push him in the corner, make him sleep, and then go for my heavies again. He is going to stand your ground a little bit, but the chances of him stand your grounding 5 hits of the heavy are almost 0. And then I'm going to go for my special 2 here. It doesn't kill. If my Zola was awakened, it would, because if your Zola is awakened, he does extra burst damage on his special 2. And then I think you might have noticed at the very beginning of the video, my Zola was awakened. That's because I awakened him from my July 4th stuff. And all of these clips, I'm pretty sure every single one of them were recorded before the July 4th opening that I did. So, anyway, now we're going to go fight this Nick Fury in Epic of Pain. So the disorient that we're getting on us here is not going to reduce our defensive ability accuracy, because Zola is immune to defensive ability accuracy modification, or just ability accuracy modification in general. And then we're going to get Nick in the corner. He's going to drop a special attack. His specials are free if we have a debuff on us, so that's why he didn't lose any power there. And unfortunately, he's going to wait out a lot of my special locks, so I'm not going to be able to line up a great heavy attack rotation, but we're going to try to get one pretty soon. As you can see here, I'm going to refresh my special lock, go for a heavy attack in the corner, because depending on the spacing, you can play Zola similar to Tigra after your specials, or your special 1. But it's very spacing dependent. Like, I wouldn't do that unless you know spacing very well, and I have a lot of practice with it, so I'm able to get that down pretty successfully. And then I'm going to Relic, push him back in the corner, and start my heavy attacks again. The Relic gives you a lot of distance, so it's really good at pushing the opponent in the corner and getting your rotation started again. And here I'm going to go for my special 2, and then after that Nick is going to drop his special 2. Did a nice amount of damage on that one, and then I'm going to start triggering my heavies right here. So a little bit of extra defensive combat power reduction with the disintegration passives, because each of them reduce it by 10%. And then if you were wondering, Zola's actual disintegration debuffs reduce combat power rate by 0.5% each. So for every 10 of them, we're reducing his combat power rate by 5%. And that's not going to sound like much at the beginning, but when you combine it with Collar Tech and just once they start stacking up, and even the passive disintegrations, it's just like you're reducing their combat power rate by so much, and it gets to be a little ridiculous. So here he's back in the corner. There's another power lock node going on that I don't even know what it's from. It's just another node on this fight, and that helps me a lot for sure, which I didn't really need it, but also it was just so clean, the finish to that fight. So anyway, that was a really fun Nick takedown. And now we're going to move on to the Grandmaster's Gauntlet, where we're going to fight Dr. Doom. This actually isn't the Gauntlet, this is the Ordeal, which is the buffed up defender and attack, and health pool. So, anyway, what we're going to do in this fight, obviously do the special 1 pre-fight, make it to where Doom, another example of a defender that you don't really like dropping special 1 sometimes, we're going to make it to where Doom is going to not be able to drop a special 1 after I drop my first one. And then I'm going to try to push Doom to a special 2 here, and I think I'm successfully able to do that. Yep. And then he's got the special 1 lock, and then I go for a medium, and then I'm going to go for the heavy counter, place the disintegrations, and now our rotation is going. So some of these fights are probably recorded when I didn't have 5 out of 5 Collar Tech yet. I don't think that makes a big difference. Like I think this one had 4 out of 5, but it didn't really make a big difference in the long run. And not everyone has 5 out of 5 Collar Tech, so it's probably better this way that you see what he looks like without it. Even though I do recommend every player try to get 5 out of 5 color tech if they have the resources to be able to do so, because it is a very, very good mastery for basically every new tech champ. So it's like almost as strong as Mystic Dispersion. Like, I wouldn't call it that strong, because Mystic Dispersion is obviously like crazy cracked, but it is the second best class-based mastery by far. Because quite frankly, the rest of them kind of suck, but Color Tech is very good, Mystic Dispersion is very good. So anyway, we're just spamming the heavies here. This node has the one where they are going to glance, and then glance on a different amount of attacks based on my size. Zola is large, so his heavy attacks, specials, and intercepts can't glance. So that means my mediums and lights outside of an intercept will glance, but we're not using those too often. And again, we're kind of just spamming heavies the entire fight until we get to a special. And it's just like, Doom is just locked down like here. Like, his playstyle is just so good at locking the opponent down and just doing a bunch of damage in the process. The damage isn't insane. It's much more targeted at short fights, because your max damage potential is just going to be in that short fight rotation mainly, where you're doing a special 1 and then heavy until you get to a special 2. Of course, it can increase in some scenarios, and depending on the defender and the AI, it can be a little bit different how good your damage is. However, he's definitely designed to be a bit more of a short fight champion, which is fine, because if you're a short fight champion who can take this ordeal Doom as effectively as he is, you're probably pretty strong on attack. And again, that's like the whole point of this video, is showing that Zola is a really, really strong attacker, and you just might not have known it because how good he is on defense. I like to use Photon as a comparison. You see Photon on BG's defense all the time, and that can sometimes limit the amount of knowledge that you might have to how amazing she is on attack, because Photon on attack is arguably the best science champ in the game. It's just BG's defense makes her have a little bit less value on attack sometimes, even though she really has the same amount of value, you just might not know it. And I wouldn't call Zola as good an attacker as Photon, obviously, but I'm just using it as an example of saying, yeah, their defense, like how good they are on defense is making them look a bit overshadowed on attack, because that's what you see them do, is defend. And I always like to look at the attacking side defenders. You guys know how much I like Arcade and stuff. And anyway, here I'm going to fight this Red Goblin. This fight is purely just for fun. I'm not really trying to show you a utility piece that Zola has. The reason you're seeing this fight is because there is a power lock node once we dex Red Goblin's specials 10 times. And then once the power lock is active, we can start spamming these heavies, and you're going to see us get to 99 disintegrations, and just the damage is going to be so silly, and it's just a really, really funny fight. Yeah, like, there's no utility being shown off here. It's just Zola taking advantage of this power lock node, and then literally he doesn't go for a special 1 here. Again, this is just purely for silliness. Because, like, yeah, normally the AI would probably drop a special 1 there. I just got lucky and he didn't do that. Just showing off the damage. It was pretty funny. So, now, we're going to go take this path. This path has, let me remind myself of what the nodes are. I activate my special 1 lock, and then it has Whittled Down, Special Burst Tranquilize, a couple other things. But, the nodes Whittle Down and Special Burst Tranquilize are kind of the reason that we're here, because 1, Whittle Down doesn't matter when we're placing so many debuffs, and then 2, Special Burst Tranquilize doesn't matter because we're immune to ability XP modifications. So the Tranquilize cannot reduce the effectiveness, or I mean, like the chance of my debuffs from triggering. Because normally Tranquilize, again, that's what it does. It reduces the chance of debuffs triggering on the opponent. Zola doesn't care. The Tranquilize literally is going to do nothing because he's immune to that ability XP modification. So here I'm going to try to push She-Hulk to a special 2, and then it looks like I'm going to be able to do that. Oh, nope. Too much defensive combat power reduction. So I need her to drop a special here. She does, and then I'm going to try to get her back in the corner. And we're not close enough, unfortunately. Here I'm going to be able to connect the heavy, and now we are close enough. So sometimes, like, genuinely, it is difficult to get the opponent in the corner. Like, that is one of the hardest things about playing Zola, is when you have matchups where the opponent doesn't get into the corner really easily. If they play better AI ball, like she did there when she dropped a special immediately after getting knocked down, you're going to have a much easier time, almost no matter how much distance the opponent's special is making. Because, yeah, a lot of the opponent's specials create a large sum of distance, but if you have that relic active, and even sometimes if you don't, you're still going to have enough distance to be able to get them back in the corner properly. Not every time, but not every time, but it's pretty often where it does happen. So we're going to do this path with 2 more fights, just to see a bunch of different defenders. Next up, we're fighting Sentry here. So he literally does a perfect special intercepts, but I was running the Red Skull synergy, where it gives me a passive where the first time I'm struck by a special 1 or a special 2 in the fight, I literally am indestructible for it, which is really funny. So it's the Red Skull synergy that's letting us do that, which normally I don't really showcase champs with synergies. I don't know why exactly I had Red Skull in the team, but I thought it was pretty funny. And also, it's questing content, so, like, who cares if I'm showing off some synergies in here? Because questing content is often going to have synergies or I guess it's often, like, the easiest chance that you're going to be able to bring synergies if you actually want to. In Alliance Wars, sometimes that can be the case, but it's definitely not always the easiest to plan. So, here, I'm getting to my S Special 2, and then I'm going to drop it, and then Sentry's just going to die. And yeah, that was plenty of damage. We're going to do this fight one more time against Scarlet Witch Sigil. So I want to get her in the corner naturally. She walk up, light attacks me. That's super cool. Love that the AI does that. But either way, I'm going to drop a special 1 here. Try to create some distance. And it is definitely difficult with the unblockable to, like, effectively get them in the corner and start your cycle going, because you do kind of want to parry a lot. And the sleep, like, it's going to be able to let you basically stun them while they're unblockable, but also to ramp the sleep you have to block to begin with, so it's not the most reliable for unblockable matchups. But it's still pretty fun. As you can see there, I do have the sleep now, and I finally am able to trigger it. My special lock is running away though, so I'm going to need to get that back with this special 1 right here. And then we should be able to have a nice cycle going after she drops a special 2, because then we can push her back in the corner with my relic, if we even need to do that, and we honestly didn't. I didn't need to drop that at all. We had the distance there, but lapse of judgment, but it's fine. So let's just start stacking the disintegrations again, and then I'm going to drop the special 2, and then the special 2 is going to pause the disintegrations, do plenty of damage, and then we're just going to start ramping again. If you're wondering the potency of Zola's Fury, it is not that big. It's like 30%, so if you don't have it, you're not missing out on a lot of damage. The reason I'm telling you that is because oftentimes we're refreshing our special lock with our special 2 and not the special 1. So it's not that big a deal if you don't get that Fury active. Of course, 30% more damage is 30% more damage, but you're also fine without it. So this is going to be a pretty silly one. This is against the Orochi boss in 9.1, and Zola is legitimately, like, the best option and the cheesiest option for this. The whole gimmick of Orochi is you want to place DOT debuffs on her, and if Zola heavy counters with a heavy attack, he immediately gets 10. And 10 is kind of like the goal you're going for. So we're just going to do a lot of damage because of that. And also, she would normally be giving you bleed and poison if you get hit by her, but Zola's immune to that, so it doesn't really matter too much to him. And that is a very large chunk of her health taken off. So anyway, yeah, this is fun. I absolutely love using Zola for this boss, because, again, you can just cheese it so easily with the amount of disintegrations that you're actually placing. So I just need to drop a heavy here, because you need to do that detonation by countering their heavy attack with your special, and then immediately phase 1 is done like that. There are 6 phases in the fight. Phases 1 through 5 are very similar, and naturally the final phase is going to be a little bit different. But I'm going to go for a heavy there, and then I'm going to drop the special 1. Let's do a detonation, and then I'm going to get her to drop it. Oh, I can't even get her to drop a special 1. That doesn't matter though. So I'm going to go for another heavy if I didn't drop my block for some reason, and then take a bunch of damage. Unfortunate, but it's whatever. Here I dropped the special with 1. I probably should have baited another heavy before doing that, because that definitely was not going to do enough damage, but it's fine, it's not a big deal. Because I can literally just go for another one right here. And then she's going to go into phase 3. And this is kind of the fight. Like, I'm gonna actually stop talking until we get to the next fight, because there's not much for me to add here. It's kind of just the same thing until the fight ends eventually. Phase 6 is a little bit different, but it's really just about countering her special ones, and then eventually she's just gonna go down. So, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking and see you in the next fight. Okay, so I've got another pretty cool questing path here. This one is a path where if we place a disintegration debuff, it's also going to place a shock, and the shocks are going to do pretty nice damage once they start stacking up a lot. And as you know, Zola does a lot of disintegrations, so immediately we get 10 shocks there, and they're going to do pretty nice damage. Also, there's a node where they are going to be unblockable after their special if you don't have a shock on them. And Zola is going to have a shock on them at all times because he's placing disintegrations at all times. So anyway, it was just a really, really fun damage loop for this one. Masochism gets in the way because for some reason it's coded to where if Masochism triggers on the first debuff, all of them are going to get purified, even though they're on separate hits. I have no idea why that works that way, but it does. but it's fine because he's about to die. And then that root that came from my special one is from a synergy. I forget which synergy it is, but it is someone's synergy. And then I almost struggled to kill him, but we got him down. So now we're going to go fight the next defender, which is going to be Northstar. And when I mentioned earlier about there being some champions who have special attacks that have pretty much insane distance to where it's really difficult to keep them in the corner after they use them, Northstar is definitely an example of that, because after he drops his special 1 or his special 2, usually his special 2, he's just going to create an insane amount of distance between you and him to where it's going to be kind of annoying to actually get them back in the corner. But it's fine, we're going to be able to finagle our way through it. I also can't dex the specials because I have a fumble on me, as you can see there. I didn't even recognize it and kind of messed up because of that. And then here, I'm just going to do this. That was kind of stupid. Anyway, gonna actually start getting some shocks active finally. And then here, I'm gonna go for my special 2. We're just gonna play some more disintegrations, more shocks, and as you can see, he's just melting. I need him to drop a heavy attack here, ideally, so I can get an opening. I don't know why I'm just not parrying. I think I was just trying to counter a heavy with a special, or with my heavy, and he just wouldn't let me do that, but it's fine. So here I'm going to go for the counter, not get it in time, but we get him back in the corner just like this. Because if you have that relic, again, you're creating an insane amount of distance, so it's not that bad. Root's getting purified by masochism, who cares? Normally we wouldn't have the root anyway if I wasn't running the synergy that I didn't even realize I was running. And then Northstar actually goes down. And now we're going to go finish the video off fighting this Jubilee with Zola. And this one we're going to be running something really special, which are the Mr. Fantastic pre-fights. These are like cheat codes for Zola. You can like almost shut off the defender's combat power rate entirely with these, because they are going to basically reduce their combat power rate by an additional 25%, and with the amount of combat power rate reduction that Zola's already doing with Collar Tech and his disintegrations, it's kind of absurd how many disintegrations you're stacking up. Now, granted, Zola is not a very good Necropolis health pools champ. The reason we're able to take Jubilee down is because she has a node where she's giving us more attack on a specific hit, based off of which fireworks surge she has. So if it's orange, we're going to get extra hit damage on heavy, which is going to buff the disintegration damage. So I want to get her to drop an orange surge. There was a purple one, which is light. We don't want that. We want it to be an orange. So we gotta try to get her to activate an orange one, which can be a little difficult, but we're gonna make it work. Anyway, here she's going to eat my special 2. And then I'm going to go for a stand-up intercept, and then she does change her fireworks, so we need to try to get that back to orange. Heavy attack here, refresh my stuff, and then I want to go for one more. I need to get her to orange. It's hard. It was hard to get her to orange a lot in this fight, but we're going to be able to make it work after I drop a special 1 here. And then I'm going to let her drop a special 2, and then Dex out of part of it. And then she runs in my heavy, which is perfect. So now we can start the damage cycle going again. Special Lock doesn't have a crazy amount of duration on it left, so we're not going to be able to get the max damage going, but we're still going to do a crap ton and reduce her combat power rate by a crap ton. And I'm dropping my special 2 here mainly because I was about to hit 3 bars, which in this scenario is not a good thing. We want to only use the special 3 if we want to regain health, because it's going to give us a, granted, insane regen passive. It's going to give us all the way back to full health over 20 seconds, and then it lasts longer the more times you use it in a fight. But, I mean, going back to full health is kind of insane, so, like, using the special 3 isn't always a bad thing. But you definitely want to have the special 1 and special 2 instead, because they're going to lock in those disintegrations and actually have a duration to them. So you're doing a bunch of disintegration damage during the special 1 or special 2, which is just doing a lot more damage when the disintegrations wouldn't be doing any damage during your special 3, obviously. So here I do drop it. Again, we're going to get the regen passive, which isn't really going to do much here because our health was already very high, but it's still pretty nice, I guess. Anyway, we're doing the extra damage on the heavies, which is great. Get her back in the corner and just start spamming the heavies once again. And it's kind of fight. That's kind of the fight. We're just gonna bait her special 2, or special 1, probably the special 2. But we're going to shut her power down so much that she can't even get to a special 2, and we have to actually combo her there. And then she drops it immediately, which is perfect. So I'm going to start wrapping up the video here, because the fight's going to end very shortly from now. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this one. Zola is a really, really fun attacker, really, really good for BG's attack in certain metas where he can work against a variety of different defenders. There are probably a lot more defenders that he's very good for that I didn't even get to show in this video. Maybe I'll make another Zola video for BGs in the future. I kind of doubt it, but it could possibly happen. And yeah, I really, really enjoy this guy. He's maybe my favorite two-way on my accounts, like pure two-way. And he's really designed to be for defense. Like, it's amazing how good this guy is when he's designed to be for defense, and he's still doing so much damage on attack. So, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.